my success is the success of Agnes.
Yes.
When she's at the right spot, with the right briefing, with the right person, at the right time, I've done a good job.
This service attitude has to be there. If you're not a person that's ready to live in someone's calendar or someone's mind, you wouldn't be a good one, right? So you need to be liking this and and be okay supporting, not always leading.
True. The Swiss Army knife. She brings out this tool this morning, and she brings out the other tool this evening. Whatever is necessary. And I think having that mindset, being so solution oriented, is the core skill for being an assistant for sure, right?
Well, I have to tell you, I know Andrea for such a long time, and she has been on the podcast quite some years before, which was a German episode. So she's now in a new function, and she's working very closely with the chief of staff of the Microsoft CEO. So for me, as we talk so much about both roles, the EA and the chief of staff, it was a no-brainer to go over there to meet with them in Munich at the headquarters and to really have the real talk going on about their roles, about how they support Agnes, the CEO, and so many other things. So I know you're going to love this episode, and make sure you connect with them. And if you're interested in learning how they do CEO office trainings, because they love to collaborate and get to know other CEO offices and just share their knowledge. So make sure you reach out to them or connect through me. Happy to make the intro just in case you need their service.
This is a very special episode because I am here with two guests today, and I'm actually at the Microsoft building in Munich. So Andrea and Svetlana, thank you so much for making it possible to talk to the EA and the chief of staff of the managing director of Microsoft Germany, and a shout out to Agnes as well, because for sure we're going to talk about her today. How are you doing today? How did you start into your day, Andrea? I think you had something on the schedule already.
I had something on the schedule already. I'm doing a street crossing service twice a week in the morning, letting those little pupils across the street, helping them. And this morning it was raining like hell. The funny thing is, if the weather's like this, the only one in the streets and on the streets are my colleague and I, and the pupils are waving from the car windows. It's raining like that, and I'm standing there like, good morning. Exactly. I'm the only one here. Anyway.
We feel sorry for you.
But I got some fresh air. The rain was very good for the nature. We had like 34 degrees in the past days. So
it was a nice refreshment.
There's no bad weather, just bad clothes. So.
Svetlana, how do you usually start into a morning? Are you a morning person and having a good breakfast, or?
No, I'm not a morning person, but I start very early usually, because if I want to make my sport, I do it in the morning. So I do my yoga classes usually from 6 to 7:30. If I was able to wake up, not today. So today I woke up because of the thunderstorm. And like thinking, okay, how do I get to the office? But generally I start with sports routine. If not, then no sport in my life.
Okay.
And in German classes as well.
Okay.
So I either have yoga or German classes.
Good.
Also at 7.
Very good. So you both work very closely together. We're going to take a deeper dive into your fields of expertise, how you support Agnes. Svetlana, how would you describe the lady next to you?
I was about to say fast and furious. No, just kidding, just fast. But seriously, Andrea is extremely fast, like insanely fast. I don't know how. I always feel behind, but also super professional, very deeply caring. And this is what I value a lot, because I feel it every day, and I think everyone around. And reliable. And funny. We have fun, a lot of fun, and this is what I also value a lot.
That is super, super important. And how about you? How would you describe the lady next to you?
As we just talked about fun, Svetlana is laughing out loud often and sometimes, which I like. But Svetlana is, and I have to admit, I asked Copilot to describe our relationship a bit, and Svetlana, based on the last 6 months, I think, was my prompt. And then Copilot's reply was based on the 1,400 Teams messages you sent and over 1,000 emails you were on. This is my summary. And what I liked most about the summary was Svetlana is a strategic powerhouse. So
Not bad. Like, not bad.
No.
Yeah.
But she's a strategist with a lot of operational excellence, operational focus, and I think that differs our roles a lot, or how we work. But challenging situations, that's something I learned from her straight away when I moved into my new role a year ago. So not taking things for granted and saying, okay, yeah, let's do it, and okay, looks good, but always, like, every little thing, giving a little challenge, like, what could we do better, differently? And that's what I like a lot.
Is it more the challenge, or is it more the perfectionism in you, maybe?
No, I like to challenge status quo.
Good.
I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist. Not like this lady
Oh,
or our
interesting.
boss, maybe, but yeah. But I like to challenge the status quo because I don't like the answer no, to be honest, in general. And if something we approach and they say no, whatever it is, I'm like, maybe we try. And this is just a lifestyle.
Interesting, yeah. So what would you say, Andrea? What skills or experiences prepared you best for your current role? Because you have a history here at Microsoft for sure. And you just mentioned 1 year ago you started your new role as the EA to Agnes. But maybe take us on this journey.
Yeah, I think skills that are really helpful for this job and that are sort of a given to me, but maybe they're not. But it's communication on all levels of the organization. Getting people on the same page, thinking proactively what might be needed next week, next month, what questions might be coming along the way when we tackle a task. And along with those communication skills, I think comes networking.
True.
And that's something that really helped me getting to the role I'm in now, because it's you will always, like, it gives you visibility. You know a lot of people. And when Agnes' role was going to be open, her EA role, I thought I have to do it. And I don't know, when they started talking about who might be good for the role, your name is dropped. If you don't have that visibility
True.
in the organization, it might be difficult for you. So that's definitely a skill. And as Svetlana said, maybe I'm a perfectionist, but I'm very detail oriented and very organized. And I would love to teach people on how to do it and how to become that fast. I have tools that help me keeping the overview, but it's definitely a skill that helps. Experiences here at Microsoft that really helped me prepare for this role is working was working for our COO in the previous years for Luca. And a funny story maybe is I promised myself to write a book about my time with Luca. Our weekly one-to-ones on Monday mornings at 8:30 would start with Andrea. Guess what happened?
The Italian charm is
and
coming.
I'm telling you, and that's going to be my book title as well.
Andrea, guess what happened?
Because over the weekend, always something happened. It might have been I forgot my ID in my Munich apartment, so I can't fly home on Sunday. I'm driving now, or I was driving, or the next time I forgot my money, my wallet. Hello to Luca.
Hi, Luca.
And so it was challenging, but when I started working for Agnes, I said, whatever will happen to you, to your company car, to your insurances,
I have a solution.
I have a solution.
But how amazing it is, right? It is.
Yeah.
Like the Swiss Army knife. She brings out this tool this morning and she brings out the other tool this evening, whatever is necessary.
Yeah.
And I think having that mindset, being so solution oriented is the core skill for being an assistant for sure, right?
Yeah.
And being prepared for everything. Like, really.
So how about the chief of staff? I mean, what would you say when we narrow it down to your role?
Okay. I started here in Germany as chief of staff 2.5 almost years ago. And this is my first job as chief of staff. And before that, at Microsoft, I had a few jobs. One was chief marketing officer for Microsoft in Russia. And I was running also business solutions business in Russian Microsoft as well. But I would say nothing of that prepared me for this job. Rather, my education, I have 2 degrees. One is in international management, and it's about business and management in general. And the other one is business psychology. And I would say everything I learned there had nothing to do with what I'm doing now. But I think the basis and something the way I'm thinking and the way I see the full picture, both from the business perspective and people perspective, not being fully into the sales or marketing now, but not fully into the people, not being HR, but combining this all in my head is kind of something that also developed over time. And this is skills-wise, and I think other skills that are required is about project management, like the complex project management, plus change management, plus people management, and the ability to bring things together and to connect the dots. And this is a skill that I have, and I think this is my strength. Like, I can see the really big picture and try to connect all the pieces together. And experiences-wise, I would say in my previous career before Microsoft, at the age of 26, I became a general manager of a little company, but with the full stack, like with P&L responsibility, people accountability and everything. And I was young for that. I was not a good general manager, to be honest. But it also, I learned what accountability means. Like literally, what does it mean if you're responsible for everything, end to end, and there is no one you can lean in and say, maybe you solve.
Yes.
Now I can. Andrea,
But
solve this. Guess what happened, Andrea?
Exactly.
But I think these two combinations, it helped a lot. But I would say nothing really can prepare you for being chief of staff, because it's super unlinear job, right? So you cannot predict what happens.
Yes. And every chief of staff role is different. I mean, everyone has a different focus, just like being in the EA role. But if we look into these, both of your fields, what would you say someone listening to this episode starting their career as a junior assistant, what does it take if they want to take a similar path? What would you say? This needs to be your mission. This needs to be part of your passion.
A part of your passion and your mission needs to be making someone else successful. It might sound crazy maybe, but my success is the success of Agnes.
Yes.
So when she's at the right spot, with the right briefing, with the right person at the right time, I've done a good job. We have regular calls with her. If there are not many open questions, I've done a good job, or we've done a good job, all of us, our CVP office team. And you need to like that.
Yes.
True.
It's a lot of, it's supporting other people. A lot of this is happening in the background, and might not be seen, but I'm someone who likes to make it seen as well. But that's something you have to have a passion for the job, I would say. You have to be a proactive thinker. You have to not just, as I said, not just look at a week ahead or a day ahead, but plan. And for Agnes, it's compared to other roles I've had, it's very special. But because for now, I would say the next 6 months are more or less prepared, and not much we can juggle around maybe.
Yes.
But you have to have a bigger view, connect the dots, and as I said, maybe it goes along with a little helper syndrome. I don't know.
Yes, and the service provider, of course, and you are, providing service in many directions. Yeah. And yes, sometimes it's not seen, and that's why it's wonderful that you are such an advocate. I mean, you out there, you speak about your role, you speak about your journey, you go into companies, you help assistants to grow into the modern workplace, and that's wonderful because, and that's why I said, I'm so happy to see that there are still people going into this direction. They want to become an assistant because, as we all know, AI is wonderful and we can't wait to explore it even further, but it's not taking any jobs away from the assistant role as long as we decide to move on and to look into new fields of services. What would you say, chief of staff pathway? As we just heard, it's quite hard to say, like, this is the definition of a chief of staff, because Agnes might need you in that field, and someone else's chief of staff might need their chief of staff in a different field. But how Andrea was explaining it, what would you say is relevant?
First of all, you said very rightly that there is so different expectations from the chief of staff's roles, and they are defined by the leaders and the personalities also. This is also important, I think, because it depends. And I think the really good one complements the leader, because what leader needs in chief of staff is a sparring partner, and sparring partner has to be a little bit different, right? And to provide the different perspective all the time on anything that we need to move on with. The second, in my personal view, in my personal suggestion, I don't think the chief of staff role has to be a profession. I do think it's a development step. It's an extremely interesting role. But I can hardly imagine myself doing this all my life, just, elevating or, developing further, because at some point you just, you saw everything. You need to move on and you need your own field. But I would agree what kind of very similar to what Andrea described, this service attitude has to be there. If you're not a person that's ready to live in someone's calendar or someone's mind, you wouldn't be a good one, right? So you need to be liking this and and be okay supporting, not always leading.
True.
Yeah, but the beauty is that you can do both.
Yeah.
So I like both sides.
And it's interesting what you say, because this is what I see out in the market. A chief of staff is sometimes like a 2, 3, 4 year role, and then many of them move into leadership roles. Although chief of staff is kind of a leadership role already. And when I see all the people that are coming to our certification course, they are moving into COO roles. They are moving into leading a subsidiary. And it's incredible to see these wonderful careers out there. So actually, Andrea, have you ever thought about, that could be also an interesting role here?
It could be. I've had other roles in the past, especially before I had children. I led the internal communications department for EMEA, for my previous employer. I would still, with hindsight, I would still say that was the best role in my life and the best fit for me. And I loved it. Internal communications and being a connection between HR and internal marketing. And as I said, communications, getting people on the same page, asking what can we do better?
Right.
What can we do differently? Where can we communicate better, be more transparent, etc. But I was traveling a lot. So in that role, I was sometimes 1 week traveling through Southern Europe, Northern Europe, and I loved it. When I had kids and came back into business, it might sound silly, but I loved getting the offer to ask for the new EMEA president as an assistant, because he needed someone knowing the business already, having the connection already. And to me, it was nice to go back into my comfort zone. And not like have sleepless nights because the kids are maybe sick, but not because I have a new project on the table, or I'm running the employee survey, satisfaction survey, and thinking about the analysis. So I went back to this comfort zone, but the nice thing is that there are so many things that drag you out of that comfort zone if you wish again.
So you don't want to be chief of staff?
No, because I'm the. I was just thinking though, like, what was the original question? I was like,
it was like
my mind got stuck on my previous employer and on my career.
But never say never.
Never say never. But when I see what Svetlana is doing, there are, like, for me, I see things that I am lacking and might not be able to acquire somehow, and it might not be right, but that's my view, and I love this job that I'm doing. I have, and we have this in our feedback conversations also, like, but Andrea, when you're that satisfied, like, don't you want to do? Yeah.
Get bored.
And I don't get bored because I'm someone, and that was part of our first interview as well. When I applied for the role working for Agnes, saying, Svetlana, you can be certain with me. I'm not sticking to my job description.
Yes.
I will never say to you, but that's your job
Yes.
and this is my job. Sorry, I don't do that.
Yes.
I'm trying to make Svetlana successful as well, or us as a team.
Yeah.
True.
And we have a lot of projects here at Microsoft where you can go beyond your job description, when you can enter projects and be a successful part of a project when your capacity allows.
Totally.
I'm telling you, and you know that I led the families at Microsoft ERG for a lot of years.
I remember, yeah.
But I took a decision not to lead it anymore because I'm lacking capacity. And if I do this project, I want to do it well. So I rather stopped things and said, I'm going to still focus on assistant workshops. And what's even better now, we're offering CEO office workshops.
Yeah, I know.
For the past year.
You've been exchanging with some of the companies, yes?
Yes, exactly. So, and that's all, like every visit, every exchange we have when we prep for it, it will take you out of your comfort zone again.
Yes.
Because you have questions that you didn't have before. You have sometimes satisfied customers or not so satisfied, or some who are still asking you for the magic wand, which we don't have. Like, I don't have it. I have my tools. I have my ways of working with Svetlana, with Agnes, but not the magic wand. But as I said, you have plenty of opportunities to learn and to grow. But the role itself, I love.
Absolutely. And I think it's a great testament for the EA community, because a lot of people just love to stay in this role because they are fulfilled, because we can pick so many wonderful choices like what you just described. And I think it's also important that we say the chief of staff career is not a typical career for an assistant, although it's going to be discussed in a very different way out there. We need to be very careful that not everyone thinks like, oh, this needs to be my next career path, because for sure it's not. And look at your background, what you just said, and how you came into the role.
I just wanted to add, I think it's a very good, consequent next step, because in the position I sit and Svetlana sits, you get an overview on the whole organization, and you really can get prepared for this step if you want to, because you're sitting in the right position already.
True, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think that also important what Andrea doing now, she's doing part of my job actually. So I have to admit. In any other setup, it would be chief of staff doing what Andrea is doing. And what I mean, for example, when it comes to the external engagements or speaking engagements at Agnes, receiving a lot of requests, usually, in my previous job, I would be properly filtering them, deciding, suggesting, and organizing. But in our case, it's with Andrea and some other colleagues, which is really good. And what I value a lot, that I'm not involved at all. So I feel sometimes like, I probably need to step in and to get more details. But I know that if Andrea is covering, I don't need to be there because it will be done. And it's amazing. This is amazing partnership, I would say. But this is also, I do think that why Andrea never gets bored, because it's not just, I would say, pure scheduling. It's much more what Andrea is doing.
Yes, and I can only imagine how full the agenda must be of Agnes. So speaking of Agnes, if she would be here and I would ask her, Agnes, your executive support team, why do you work with an EA and a chief of staff? What do you think is her answer? Why she needs both of you?
First of all, it was given. So it was given. I think she was lucky to get us both. And not only us, we have a couple of more colleagues who in the CVP office. It's CEO office, actually, that's supporting Agnes daily. So it's us, it's our employees comms, and it's also customer partner engagement manager. So we are a team, and this team supporting Agnes. And I think our roles are like on a serious note, not only because she was giving with, these are two ladies that you have, Agnes, but also the roles are different. Like they really differ.
Yeah.
And I do think that we complement each other. So I primarily doing everything connected to our leadership team and Agnes. So I'm trying to support the team effectiveness, running the regular meetings and offsites and follow-ups and decision-making. Plus, I'm primarily focusing on the cross-functional projects. So whatever it needed to be done for the org itself, this is with me. While Andrea covering the rest with the help of our colleagues in the CVP office. What Agnes would have said if she would have been here, I don't know. Guess? I don't know.
What she would say about
why
having
she's
both
working
of
with
us.
Why
yes,
she has
yes.
both of you, yeah.
Because she needs us both. Because our roles are different. And I, as I said, I'm connecting the dots I have with Svetlana, but also the dots I have with our external communications manager, with our internal communications manager, and with our customer and partner engagement manager.
Yes.
And all of the requests you said, it must be busy, and it's busy like hell.
Yes.
What I wasn't used to from my previous roles was that every day you have a locker full of mail on paper.
Yeah.
I'm working with paper again after 6 years at Microsoft.
How did this happen?
Going,
I know this is
I
not
don't know
you,
how-
Andrea.
Guess what happened? I'm working with paper again.
Don't tell me you have a Leitsordner somewhere.
No, I don't. I digitalize everything immediately. I take my Copilot app, say scan, and then I have a PDF that I save into this certain folder like customer escalations,
Yes.
regular mail, etc. So I do digitalize it straight away.
Of course.
But it needs to be read. It needs to be worked on. It needs to be distributed to
And
the
answered.
right person.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
answered.
It needs
Yeah.
to be screened, yeah.
And that's just one little tiny part. We have so many people contacting you, contacting me. My customer is here next week. Can Agnes come along for a little welcome note? Internally, externally, lots of. And I love it. I mean, she's on high demand. Yeah, our boss. It's what I said to you.
I
just
saw her
recently,
at
it's
the OMR
OMR
festival. Of course, I was looking
Hannover
for...
Messe, 20 press
Yep.
interviews, stuff like this.
Yep.
So sometimes it feels like working for a VIP.
Yes.
And that
But
makes
we're
it
working
even,
for VIP.
We are.
Yes.
Definitely.
And that makes it even more important to have her on the right spot
Yes.
at the right time with the right
True.
briefing
Prepared.
and person. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
she was just sharing a little bit of her role. So how could you help us explain even further how your role differs? Like, come back maybe with the topic of a calendar. Does she touches the calendar? Or is it all in your hand?
It's all in my hands.
See,
And even if Agnes touches it sometimes to put in a private appointment, I'm like, yeah, just tell me it's better. I put it in at the right
never
spot.
touch a calendar.
That's true. I
That's a
don't
message
touch.
for
Yes.
all executives
Yes.
out there, by
Yeah.
the way. Never touch the calendar.
That's
if
true.
you
And I
haven't
cannot
done it.
touch while I have physically, I have this chance.
Yes.
I rather ask Andrea not to be then
Yeah,
coached.
yeah. No, but that is really that's my responsibility. We also have a CEO office, a Germany calendar where we use for certain other appointments, and that's a big part of my job. But as we just discussed, it's
And the whole logistics probably is in your hands.
exactly.
everything. Yes.
And I try to put, as I said, I don't want any questions to be open. So in the meantime, I really have snips from Bing Maps saying, with traffic, the taxi ride to this customer or whatever
Right.
takes this and that. So you have buffer time. And that was also something we learned, like when we sit together on a weekly basis with Agnes and we have time to get to know each other. And I mean, buffer time is important, but
Of
really,
course.
to really hear, last time it was tight and it was a little
Right.
bit stressful. But that's the stuff you need to learn.
Of course.
How many times am I in Stuttgart or in Berlin?
Yes.
Like she's the one traveling,
True.
but to learn what the bottlenecks are and everything like that is very useful.
I once heard a story which I found so fascinating. An assistant was newly starting to work with a CFO of a big corporate company in Germany. And he took her on this trip. He said, I want you to go with me. I want you to run with me through the airport just to get a feeling, about the distances and about, this is where I'm going to the lounge and this is where I need to be. So I love this approach because he wanted her to be really the shadow and go with her. So she really understands the next time she's doing a planning for him that she's fully aware of what he needs.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
Speaking of meetings, so obviously I can imagine how many meetings you are sitting in with Agnes, but how about your level of attendance? Joining meetings, or is this also something more Svetlana covers?
So I have a daily sync with Agnes. every morning. Like sometimes it drops out of the calendar, of course, but that's very useful. We have a loop component we use where Agnes writes in her topics and I write my topics in to make it even more useful, those 15 minutes we have. So I do get my attention, I would say. What I'm not unlucky about is that, for example, in the leadership team meetings, we work together. So sometimes building the agenda, or when Svetlana says, "Ooh, I'm lacking capacity," or I'm struggling, can you please send it out? It's an invitation for a bigger audience, and she would forward the conversation to me via Teams, and then I set it up. So she trusts me that I'm doing it in the correct way, which is good. But I'm not involved too much in the meetings per se. But as I said, we have a regular sync together with Agnes, the whole team. I have my sync with her, and maybe when we spoke about visibility also, we work on a very flexible basis here, based on trust regarding our work hours and where we work location. But being in the office when Agnes is, having a little time to chat, or when she walks by and would just say something like, "Ooh, I missed to tell you, I need to speak to this and that person."
Yes.
And that's something Svetlana sometimes does it too. When we see in the office and she said, "Oh, we need to, have we thought about this, or have we started this already?" And we have a to-do list together, and I put it in so I don't forget it. But it's those little things that make us available for Agnes, for little things she can pass along to us on the way, but also for others. So when you're here in the office and you start chatting with others, what's on their mind, and you get visibility ourselves as well to other departments and managers.
But I think you were asking about the external meetings as well, right? Like
Internal
the customers.
and externals, of course.
I think this is what differs Microsoft also. Agnes is very self-sufficient, and Agnes has a lot of one-on-one meetings with the customers. So none of us participating. So we basically, and not only because they are one-on-ones, but also because we need to ensure in the background that it works seamlessly, right? And this requires some time. So we travel time to time. I don't know, Andrea is rarely. I'm almost not traveling, which we need to fix, because this is a discussion we also had with Agnes. Okay, Svetlana, you would better travel with me more often. True. Then we come to the capacity point. So to make her like seamlessly traveling, doing everything, having everything at hand, requires some background thing. But this is the beauty of the role. So I do have this freedom. I do have this opportunity to shadow at some point Agnes internally and externally, which is amazing. Like this is exactly what's the role for, right?
Exactly.
And also that is why it's so developing for the person who stepped in. And that is why some of the chief of staffs become then leaders because they learned on the go.
And they learn from the best.
Yes.
And I always say, and this is the beauty of both of your roles, you have this, place in the first row of leadership every single day. You are mentored by great leaders. You watch them, you observe them, you learn so much from them. Wow. Who other role in a company has this privilege? I call it a privilege.
True.
Working with these incredible minds and really learning and shaping your careers. Let's see what comes next here, what comes next there. We don't know. Maybe we need to have an agreement to meet in 5 years again, and let's see, okay, what happens? Where are the ladies now? So absolutely true words.
But I would say there is an important step, and sometimes people hesitate to take it between observing and doing. And this is a gap that, like, I would suggest everyone to feel, right?
Totally.
It's sometimes like, I think this is what sometimes holds me back as well. Like, I observe a lot. I know how she does it. But then I need to step in and do it myself to be able to really unlock what I observed.
Yes, and it's also kind of moving away from the comfort zone.
True.
But the moment you have a boss, an executive that gives you the platform, that gives you the stage, and I know Agnes is doing it.
Yeah.
That's the way she leads. You can grab these opportunities, and this is just a wonderful momentum. So can we think of how does a typical day look like for you? You just mentioned you have a regular check-in, but are there any specific routines that you like to talk about that help you, especially how it differs from a day working from home, from a day coming to the office? I know you're a great networker, so you're going to find your people, of course, but maybe you're going to lead us through a little bit how some of the routines look like, if there are any.
Would you like to start?
I can, happy to start, because I think my first reply always is there's no typical day.
Yeah, that's
There will
true.
always
I
come
was
something
guessing this
along
answer.
that you didn't expect to come along.
Yeah.
Might it be the call from another CEO office saying that their CEO has to speak to Agnes on the same day, etc. And where it gets hectic, because for me, it might just be a call, but in the background, I start going to our colleague Pim saying, this customer called, who's the account executive? What do you know about the customer? Do they need to speak today? Can we move with that? So a whole machine starts in the background. But a typical day, I have to say, working from home is, I sit down, like when I don't do the street crossing service, I sit down at 7:30 or then sometime after 8. And often I get stuck there until, I don't know, 5:30, 6:30, until I get up for the first time. It sometimes seems...
No lunch time.
Yeah, lunch
You're
preparing lunch
flow.
for my children.
You're in your flow.
I have 2 boys. I told you they need good foods every day. Sometimes I don't even have time to eat myself or then later. But anyway, when I'm here in the office, and I said I love being in the office when Agnes is around, because it gives you some extra time between meetings to sync, and also to connect with other people. And my typical day, as I said, is communicating, getting people on the same page. When Agnes takes a step to the right, informing lots of people, saying that she's taken a step to the right and not to the left, as we expected her to do.
Yes.
But I love it. So
perfect.
Yeah.
I'm always in the office, like literally. I think since I joined, maybe there were a few days when I was not here, and I love it. And this is what I've been waiting when we were on pandemic, sitting at homes, working remotely. Okay, when I can get back, because not because I'm an extrovert, no, but because I do think that in this role, first of all, you have to be in the office. And for me, it was very important. I moved from another country. I don't speak German. I do need to get my connections done, and I have to be in the office to talk to people, to meet them, to go to the lunch, to discuss the things that you never be able to talk. And it's like everyone is talking about this, coffee machine conversation, that you meet someone at the coffee machine
the
and then you solve
discussions.
discussions.
The most important ones.
And to be honest, I would not underestimate those.
Yes.
And it's like it's a general meaning, cooler or coffee machine.
Exactly.
But it's elevator as well. It's a cafeteria. It's lunch and so on. I do solve, I would say, like 10% of the tasks on the way, just because I can walk and talk and say, hey, do you know? And you ask me that, this is an answer, or please do that, and I will remind you later and so on. The routines, we have our CEO office meeting every week. We do have our CEO office meeting with Agnes every week. And we prepare Agnes on Friday with everything which is going to happen the next week. And we meet with her in person or remotely on Monday when we speak through. So it's all sent on Friday, what to expect next week. And as said, we're walking through on Monday. She kind of also gives a direction, what is important for her, how the last week went, what we need to catch up with and everything.
Yes.
And then this is how we start the week. We get some from her, we give back, and then we go. We do have our regular leadership meetings, and it's not a routine, but it's something that happens regularly. And then in my case, it's a lot of one-on-ones, because I do manage a team, and I do have one-on-ones with the team, but also with, I would say, almost all our stakeholders, more or less. And as we run different projects, and I'm leading some of those, then there will be extra layer of the project management in there. And the rest, I would say, there is some time for ad hoc. What I did not expect in this job, it's how much hands-on work need to be done.
Yes.
And because my last 3 jobs in a row been people management, and I had large teams, and at some point I didn't do much myself. And then I come to this role and I was like, oh, this is what I forgot how this. Okay, now we need to
rolling up the
yes.
sleeves. Exactly. Never gets boring.
and this is really different because you are also people manager, so you do manage a team, but you are also a hands-on worker, like doing literally, and the variety of topics that I manage also, like, and I think it doesn't fit everyone because I do think kind of strategically, but I also do literally some setting up meetings or I don't know, the email addresses or whatever.
Right.
And it's so different. And I was like, okay, maybe not everyone would be ready to do both.
That is true, for sure. And let's not forget the fast-paced environment you're in. It's just incredible.
It is.
And you need to be prepared for that.
It is.
So what I remember when I was, for 20 years, I was a EA, I was a kind of a chief of staff. It's all called a little bit different in German. It's more the Referentin. So I think we still need to get used to this in German companies, what a chief of staff is all about and what benefits the role brings. But when I look back, one of the core subjects was understanding the vision of my CEO and the company, of course, which is so deeply connected. So how would you say, how do you translate Agnes' vision into the organization out of your roles?
I started with you. It's a good question because I think this is probably the most critical and most difficult part. Because the picture that we see is different, right? And when you support someone like Agnes who sees everything and who meets every day customers and policymakers and associations and partners and on the market always, and we are behind, it's pretty difficult. And probably this is the most interesting part. Answering your question, to me, took some time to observe, just listen very carefully what the person says, but then compare what the person does. Because it also helps you to understand the real priorities. And the real priorities are coming from the action, not from the speech. Because, and in our case, we are lucky. Agnes is very authentic. So we usually what she says, she does. And I give you an example. Like some time ago, she said something occasionally, progress over perfection. And then you look at the person, say, okay, are you saying now progress over perfection because you want just to get something quickly? And you say, no, you don't need to be perfect, just give it to me. Or it's a real priority. Like you really want organization things. So you're not trying to polish everything that we do. And over time, when you observe and you listen and you see what person does and your boss is doing, in our case, I learned, okay, this is true priority. So this is how I can also convey this message to the org when I speak. So we don't need, fine-tuned, polished, very nicely fancy slides for something. We don't need to spend months to prepare something. We better do something, learn with our failures, and then we do again better. And this is how I would say I try to translate Agnes' priorities and Agnes' vision, and it's just a simple example with this progress over perfection, but this is how I do so. Observe, see the difference, if there is a difference between saying and doing, and then based on the doing, mostly aligning and, validating, and then I can speak on her behalf as well.
Good.
And this is about basically everything. Sometimes I cannot catch up with some super strategically important things, and I ask, like, what did you mean there? What should I do based on what you said? Do I have it again as an action, or it was more inspiring and we don't need to do something? Well, it helps a lot. Like, ask.
It does. And again, having the guts to ask a question. I know a lot of people are afraid to ask a question because it might connect to a weakness. I don't know this puzzle piece right now, and this is a weakness.
It is.
But it's not. I think it's courage, it's strength to ask a question. And especially if I have a CEO on the other side that sits down with me and that helps me to translate it, right? Because they want you, and she wants you to be good at your job as well, of course.
It is this perception of the weaknesses. And I cannot say I have never felt it. I do feel it.
Yeah.
I do feel whether I ask question now or I better stay quiet. And I force myself to ask. And now I'm comfortable. I think I
Yeah,
can ask
perfect.
anyone everything.
Very good.
Sometimes I do disclaimer. Maybe it will be silly question now. Sorry, but now I ask you. and people usually say, no, it's not silly. You can ask. I say, okay, now I'm done. Good. So
But I like the disclaimer. Like,
Yes.
okay, I just want to warn you. Here's the disclaimer. Here comes the question. What about you? How do you translate the vision in your specific EA role?
I think anything what Svetlana just described needs to be put in the calendar as well.
Yeah.
It needs time
It's
to
true.
think alone,
Yeah.
focus time,
Yes.
which she doesn't have much. To be honest, there are lots of blockers and focus time in the calendar in the weeks ahead, but they often drop out for those calls that are coming in spontaneously, or as I said, keynotes, other things coming up. But I think that's my part, giving her time to focus on herself, to think, and then also when Svetlana approaches me and says, and that happens quite often, sometimes that, "Oh, Andrea, we didn't finish our conversation. There are 2 or 3 topics, not quite often, but,
but yes.
just recently we're planning an offsite, and the agenda needs to be really meaningful to everybody. So often it's not done with 15 minutes of talking and rushing through, and that's what it means, time, and that's what.
Speaking of time, one of your roles is, especially your role, is being the efficiency and productivity manager of Agnes. So, of course, we have to talk about tools, right? So, lead us through a little bit how you manage Agnes. What are the tools you use for collaboration, for communication, for to-do tracking, just to get a feeling? What's one of your favorites? You mentioned Loop already.
Yeah.
What else is
That's
out there?
That's how.
Loop,
That's how what we use most for our daily things, and for those short-term tasks or stuff like this week I had, because she had her ESTA visum for the US before I started working for her, and I was like, can we please check it? So the little things, but that need us up and running, because when she's at the airport next week and she won't get to the US because her visa ran out, then we're all, our job wasn't done well. It's still valid.
Wait, thank you.
Before you ask,
just almost sweating.
And yours?
Yes, all good. Thank you.
Right. Because everybody's going to the US next week for a sales kickoff.
Yeah.
So I love Loop. For any sorts of also preparing assistant workshops and everything. It's a great tool for collaboration. Also scheduling of appointments with all of our managing directors.
Good.
It's very useful. Group chat, Loop component. Hand in some dates already, and people thumb up, and you have an appointment after 2 minutes usually.
Nice.
I love to do so. Svetlana and I, for example, have a shared to-do list. Those tasks where we just talk about it, or where we have a one-to-one, it's all put in there, so we keep sort of an overview: what's due, when, and what do we need to think of in the next weeks or month ahead. For Agnes, sometimes a classic reminder in Outlook helps a lot to keep her on track.
Good.
So everybody in the organization knows who to talk to when an urgent contract needs to be signed, when a deadline needs to be hit, and we're getting close and something's missing. I don't know, approval of announcements. So sometimes the reminder, like using one of those blockers I just mentioned in her calendar to say, please, contract needs to be signed. And then I also put all the relevant approvals in there already, so she doesn't have to search much.
Good.
Stuff like this to make it more
perfect.
I would say it's like I use this all, and it's all commodity in our case. So we are lucky to have all the tools that are available in the market. First, we eat our own dog food, but I can't avoid speaking about the Copilot, because I think what happened with Copilot, and this, to me, it's like insane, because it accelerated everything that we're doing now. So as Copilot now is everywhere in all the applications that we have, in the Loop, in the Outlook, in the Teams, everywhere. Our commodity is Teams and Outlook, of course, plus Loop, plus To Do, plus OneNote. And then Copilot infused everywhere. And then you just do everything faster.
Absolutely.
And I just give you an example, our recent example. I wanted to bring it because I want you to know also. We are preparing an event, and the event requires a hotel. And the hotel in the city, we both are not familiar with, right? I have never been there.
Me
We're not
either.
saying so. We're not ashamed.
Yeah.
But we both were not there. So there are hotels, and they are provided, and the hotels are different in different places. There are different rates, different quotes, different
prices.
facilities.
Yeah.
Yes. It was like what we do usually. What do you do? Like Andrea or I or Andrea, and we together sit together and look at all the criteria. What's the prices? What's the rates for the rooms, for the meeting rooms, for the food? What the amenities? What are the facilities around? What's the distance from the office and so on? What did you do? She asked Copilot, please compare these 3 hotels from this perspective and suggest me what should I choose based on the traffic,
Yes.
For our
based on the
leadership team.
distance,
Yeah.
for the
Fantastic.
leadership
Yeah.
team.
Fantastic.
So I would say like maybe it took beforehand like 40 minutes for you to bring this all together, to think and decide on which one is better. And now it's like 5 minutes to make the
It's
proper
crazy.
prompt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We take the hotel that Copilot suggested.
Recommended,
Why
so.
I would try to challenge status quo.
Yeah.
Then we say, no, we go with this suggestion because it seems like, okay.
And if not, Copilot will be in trouble.
Exactly.
But the beauty is
Gotta
that
give him a lecture.
yeah, but that's exactly the very simple
Nice.
cases. But
Yes.
these cases, like it's just I would say it's 1% of our overall scope. But this already smaller there, and then you're like, oh.
And it's so true. And of course, I'm glad you're mentioning it, because let's not forget there's a third person managing Agnes together with you, which is Copilot.
Yeah.
And especially now with creating all these wonderful agents, all the opportunities you have in this field. And that's also a message, of course, we want to give out to our listeners and viewers, like explore the full variety of AI, whatever tool you are using and whatever, of course, regulations you have in your company. But I think this is the future of executive support, including AI, what makes you faster, what gives you more time to be more there for Agnes on a different side, maybe in order to talk about her vision and the culture and the organizational changes. And it's a game changer. It's absolutely a game changer. And that's why I'm so happy that you are going out there. And we need to say this again, that you support other companies by helping other CEO offices to really understand, what opportunities are out there to work with AI and how we, manage Agnes. So this is how they can manage their respective executives, right?
This is one of the projects that I'm personally proud the most.
Yeah.
So we started as the education for ourselves. So it was initially the idea to learn from the best.
Good.
So we started to reach out to our peers in the large German companies. And for me, for Ausländers was super important, to ask people how you do this stuff. I need to somehow to figure out. And then it all turned into the conversation about the tools as well and how to increase the productivity, because we have so common pain points. Everyone goes through the same pain points and challenges and issues. And we probably, in some cases, we can really share how we solved it.
True.
So, so I'm really, really, really proud. We are fully booked in summer, but later we can still do so.
Nice.
So
very good. And by the way, I heard very good feedback, because some of your customers are my customers, some of the big corporate offices out there, and I've heard very good feedback. So very happy that you offer this. And I think it's very helpful that we all remember that also helping each other. And that's why the networking part is so important.
Yeah.
That's why you're organizing this Assistance Day once a year, and look back at the history we have. 2019, it all started with 100 people in the room. I will never forget it when we set up the LinkedIn group, and everything has, been growing so massively, and that's wonderful. And also the Chief of Staff community is growing, and it's wonderful that you give this extra time, from your busy schedules in order to help others. And that's for me also a wonderful strength. So thank you for that.
thank you.
So do you actually have a common jour fixe together with Agnes? Is there a round of 3, or just to wrap up the way you communicate with Agnes?
So we have regular one-to-ones. I have regular one-to-ones with our exec comms manager and our CPE manager. But with Agnes, we have, as Svetlana just mentioned already, we sit down on Monday, or in the future maybe Tuesdays, and we give her the opportunity to share her top of mind. to ask questions about what she read on Friday, what we sent to her. We streamlined everything for internal and external communications and customer and partner engagements. We have all the briefings ready for the next week. Sometimes when something like OMR Festival comes up, we will have that ready even like 4 weeks before, so she can start preparing herself. We want her to feel comfortable on stage and not give her something last minute. So this is what we start with the top of mind, and then we go through the different blocks, like internal communications. This is what's coming up. People announcements, internal communications, award winners, stuff like this. And external communications. Sometimes we also get questions on events taking place on a Saturday and Sunday. And that's where we don't decide ourselves.
Of course.
But we decide before, is there a big impact when Agnes shows up or not? And if there's a big impact, we will ask her, like, this is a Saturday, and I'm not responsible for Saturdays and Sundays. So we can discuss anything that comes in. And then Pim has a part where we speak about customers and partner engagements coming up. And often, as I said, there are side conversations where we can then keep track of everything. Executive visits.
Good.
As I said.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So we are coming to an end. It has been a great talk so far. Tell me what makes you proud to be a Microsoftie. Just 2 quick answers.
I start. So maybe I steal your. No,
Go.
I like that we stick to our mission. And our mission, I don't know if everyone knows what our mission is. Empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. And we stick it. And this is what I'm proud of, because I know what missions are sometimes. And the missions are something is, floating somewhere in the cloud or written on the wall and nobody really feels it.
Yes.
We feel it.
Yes.
Like every day we know this. I would say everyone at Microsoft would know what mission is and what does it mean and what does it mean every person. And this connected very much to diversity and inclusion that we are all in, because every person means every person. And this is very important. And this is what I like about Microsoft the most. Plus, I would say the growth mindset principle. And the growth mindset principle is that we are allowed to fail.
Yeah.
We are allowed to fail because we then learn.
Yeah.
And this is what Microsoft also supports. Not proactively saying, hey, you all fail, please. No, but we're not punished for that,
exactly.
Right? We are supported, and we feel supported, and we feel empowered to try something new and to fail. And this is amazing to me. Maybe because I fail fast, I don't know. Fail faster and often.
No, not at all. I'm proud of our culture. I have to say, Lena Rogel liked to say, come as you are, do what you love.
Yes.
You don't have to drop your private or personal self and all your worries or problems, challenges you sometimes have. You don't have to drop it at the door. You can come here with all your backpacks you have. I have the feeling. And yeah, that makes, like everything you said, our growth mindset, our learning days we get offered, our D&I, diversity and inclusion initiatives, the employee resource groups. I've had the best 6 years in my professional life here.
That's amazing. And we need to give out a shout out to Lena for sure. She has been on the podcast here as well. And I learned so much in this episode from Lena. So it's incredible what she does because it's an important topic. So we're going to close this wonderful episode with a motto, a slogan. So the two of you and Agnes, as the dream team together, what could be a motto about all of you?
No, you tell.
I'm curious. I'm curious.
Okay, there are 2 different mottos. One, the real one that we live in the CEO office. I would say it's CEO office without Agnes, but supervising by Agnes. It's what comes to CEO office gets done. And this is what we try to live with. And the second one, the one with Agnes, I would say we both asked Copilot.
Yeah.
Based on our communication, based on what we talk, discuss, and have, what would be the motto? And what is it?
My favorite, I got 3 suggestions, but my favorite one was Together We Elevate.
And again, the same suggestion. So it gave us both.
Exactly. And the explanation was, it was such a diverse team with every person has a different actually focus area.
Right.
But together we can get it
Yeah,
done,
I love
and
it.
we have such a seamless, great collaboration that together we elevate.
I love it. I think these are the perfect words to end this episode. I appreciate your time. I know
you.
the next meetings are waiting for you, but it was wonderful to really understand both of your roles, to get to know Microsoft a little bit better. And as I said, I'm coming back in 5 years. Let's see what happens next.
Woohoo! We're looking
Thank
forward
you
to it.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diana.